I made a lot of videos last month. That was a lot of work, and all that Adderall has fried my dopamine receptors, so now I need something to make me feel alive again. Yeah, this'll do. The late 2000s were filled to the brim with gritty, realistic military shooters, and it was getting pretty stale. So, the dude who made God Hand was like, you know what, fuck this. Cover-based? More like cover-cringe. Where's the action? Where's the speed? No, really, where's my speed? Oh yeah, alright, I got a new idea for a game. It's a cover shooter, but instead of all that boring hiding, we have fucking rocket thighs. It'll give thunder thighs a whole new meaning, man, and then you turn your whole body into a drill and you die in the Family Guy death pose. Come on, man. And so, Platinum Games got right to work on Vanquish, the attention deficit antithesis to the cover-cringe shooters of the time. You play as Jetstream Sam the Hedgehog, the only man in existence whose organs are immune to centripetal force and deceleration-induced blunt trauma. As such, you've been selected for an experimental rocket suit with a magnetic attraction to chest-high walls. As the remaining human population has been lobotomized, it's all up to you to save the world from gay Russians? I'm not sure. I keep skipping cutscenes.
And the toll of our war has
I'm really bored. From what I can gather, this guy has decided that Gay Pride Month is over. June is now officially Gay Wrath Month. He makes it official with a ceremonial destruction of San Francisco, and then hard cut to you fighting robots in space. I don't know, man. If I cared, I wouldn't have skipped the cutscenes. I don't care. Now this is a console game that was later backported to the PC, so I grit my teeth and went on a preemptive Hajj to PC Gaming Wiki, only to be pleasantly surprised. No widescreen fixes, no mouse fixes, and look at this, they actually tweaked the engine to run above 60 FPS. They knew what kind of game this was. I still had to tweak the FOV, the anti-aliasing is ugly as fuck, and this game apparently hates my high DPI, low sensitivity philosophy. But in the age of shitty remasters, it's refreshing to see this kind of quality on the technical side.
This is starting to sound like a bad video game.
Sadly, the art direction doesn't give us much to look at. This was the gray and brown era of gaming, because they were trying to target the teen market, and teenagers are incapable of experiencing joy. The only escape is the environments. Vanquish takes place on a cylindrical space colony that creates artificial gravity via centripetal force, and they leverage that to give a bunch of the gunfights some kind of unique backdrop or visual spectacle. The first hour of the game is pretty bland looking, but once you leave the tunnels, it is just non-stop spectacle. There's a whole level where you take down this massive robot by ripping it apart from the inside, and it is a fucking process. All this vertical ascension gives you a good idea of just how massive this thing is. How did it get here in the first place? Who cares? Don't think about it. Wow, action movie, wow! These kind of games rely on creative environmental design to create interesting context for each gunfight. Vanquish does that pretty well, so I can excuse it for being kind of fuck ugly half the time. The game sound is competent, if a bit generic. Guns sound sufficiently punchy, heavy attacks from enemies all have a distinct wind-up sound. The music is appropriately fast-paced but otherwise forgettable, and if you're casting Nolan North or Steve Blum, you've kind of just given up. That's not an insult to those guys. At that skill level, you don't need good direction and writing to give a good performance.
San Francisco is gone now!
That was for the good of all Americans.
And that writing is bad.
That should reverse the polarity on the game.
I don't care. I just switched the game to Japanese so I could hear all the funny loan words.
Bingo.
If you've ever heard the term cover-based shooter in a derisive tone, it's because this stop-and-pop rhythm is fucking boring. Vanquish fixes this by designing everything around speed. Cover is destructible and enemies can easily outflank you, so it's a temporary respite at best. Your guns are hideously inaccurate and headshots matter, so you need to get in close. How do you get in close? Speed. Except being fast doesn't make you bulletproof. Your suit will overheat if you take too much damage, forcing you to awkwardly roll into cover until it recharges. At first, this all seemed kind of contradictory to me. Like, does this game want to be a cover shooter or a movement shooter? What's the point of cover when you're this mobile? Then I figured it out. Cover is less of a thing to hide behind and more of a thing to rapidly pinball between like a coked up runaway bouncy ball. You take the ballsiest forward position you can find, and the instant it stops being safe, you zoom off to find another one. Now that I'm used to it, I gotta say, this is a really unique playstyle for this kind of game. The closest analog I can think of is Doom Eternal, except instead of flowing from glory kill to glory kill, you're bouncing from chest-high wall to chest-high wall. It makes me wish there were more tactical shooters with this kind of mobility toolset. I mean, anyone who's played a class-based shooter knows the sheer power of being able to pick your fights. The game just kinda ends? I was skipping cutscenes, so I went from shooting a copy of an earlier mini-boss to shooting the developers' faces. Beating the game unlocks God Hard, which is a God Hand reference, I think? Now, I like me some hard games, and I thought hard was a bit too easy, so let's give it a shot. I am convinced this is a prank. I mean, just look at all these fucking grenades, man! What am I playing, fucking Call of Duty? Aside from this first fight and the Burns battle, which I fucking doubt any human being playtested on God Hard, it was a lot of fun. The reduced margin for error does turn otherwise minor annoyances into major frustrations, but it did give me a greater appreciation for Vanquish's speed-based approach to cover shooter design. And I'm a pretentious fuck, so that's what I enjoy about playing video games. But yeah, I did not pay attention to, nor give the slightest shit about the story, so that was Vanquish. It did a pretty good job breathing a bit of excitement into my life and raising my heart rate, except whoops, now I'm back to a high enough energy state for the anxiety to kick back in. This is the last filler video for now. The next one will be a fucking doozy. These credit sections take up a lot of time in the video, so I'm gonna do it quickly. Thank you for watching, genuinely, this is a filler video. If you liked it, please help it on the algorithm, leave a like, a comment. Even if something stupid like a smiley face, I do genuinely enjoy reading those, and if you'd really like to see this channel succeed, I have a Patreon and a YouTube membership program. I do need to eat, and YouTube hates these videos, but yeah, thank you, goodbye.